Hello, and welcome back to What Do You Believe? I'm absolutely nobody special from the Hardworking Class USA. If you haven't watched, before we get started, you need to go back and watch that. It kind of fill you in on why I'm doing this and why I'm doing it in this format. And if you haven't watched Getting Started Part 1, you need to watch that one before you watch this one because one leads right into the other. So, Getting Started Part 2, the Obama years. Now, just a small recap of where we ended up, that a big part of the Bush bailout money was actually spent and managed by the Obama administration. We also know that during the Obama administration, there was another bailout. Now, if you go back and look it up, it will say bailouts that worked. You'll see a lot of headlines that bailouts that worked. They worked for a few hundred companies on Wall Street. That's it. Here's the truth of the Obama administration. The facts that the media didn't tell you, and they're not going to tell you, and the left certainly doesn't want them told. But here's the truth of what actually happened during the Obama administration. The bailouts that worked. Well, you need to know exactly how they work. So I'm going to tell you exactly how they worked. The Obama administration did not bail out the banks. The Obama administration gave money to bank holding companies on Wall Street. Citibank, which I probably should interject this. Back before the election, before Obama got elected, John Podesta's laptop was hacked. And there was an email from before the election entitled Lists, and it was from Citibank. So you kind of, to give you a little bit of context of why Citibank is such a big deal here, that email lists, and you can search that for yourself too, it's real. We actually recovered this email from Citibank to Obama telling him everybody he would be putting on his cabinet and what positions they would fill. So that's out there. You can look it up. But getting back to this, because we need to keep moving on the Obama administration, the economy. First of all, like I said, we didn't bail out the banks. We bailed out a couple hundred. All the money went to. I won't say we bailed out. All the money went to the big bank holding companies on Wall Street: Citibank, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and those. And the deal was, we will buy their preferred stock at 8%. So when you pay us back, you're going to pay us back what we loaned you plus 8%. This is the part they tell you is why the bailouts worked. Here's all the information they didn't tell you. What they did, now keep in mind, this is post-housing bubble pop. There were subdivisions in this country that were 90% empty or worse. And we're not talking about, buildings in the inner cities. We're not talking about, houses with dirt floors out in rural America. We're talking about real estate all over the country in the nicest areas of the country for a lot of it. We're talking nice homes, nice businesses. It was a real estate bubble. Not just a housing bubble, it was a real estate bubble. And the Obama administration, in their great wisdom, said that we need to protect the American people from overpaying on this bailout. So they took all of this real estate. They allowed the bank holding companies to reappraise it. So they bought all of this real estate. All the people who had lost their homes, their businesses, due to horrible lending practices. They bought it all on the cheap. 20 cents on the dollar, 30 cents on the dollar. Us Americans, we couldn't get in on that. This was just Wall Street. So we even printed money to buy more preferred stocks. So imagine that you get to buy all this discounted, deeply, heavily discounted real estate. and you're buying it with somebody else's money, and we will make sure that you have all of the money that you need to buy as much of it as you want. These bank holding companies, once the buying spree was over, then reappraised the homes again back to fair market value and sold them. So this is why they say it's a bank bailout. What actually happened is it's a big money shell game. Is we gave the holding companies, Citibank, Wells Fargo, all these people, all the money they needed to buy up real estate super cheap. We did this under the guise of protecting Americans working class from overspending on this bailout. Then we allowed these same people to reappraise the home yet again back to fair market value and then sell it and pocket the profit. Which, for those people out there that don't know, the estimates that I've seen put that somewhere between 6 and 7 trillion, that's with a T, 6 and 7 trillion dollars. And they got to do all this at a cost of 8%. That's what they had to give back to the American people. Oh, wait. That's not exactly the way that worked either. You see, because this was bailout money, our wonderful politicians, Democrats and Republicans, did on the bailout put a little rule in there that we cannot pay executive salaries and bonuses over $500,000. Because, come on guys, if you're in the working class, do you know how hard it is to live on $500,000 a year? I mean, it's incredibly difficult. It's got to be, because that's where we drew the limit. That's where we drew the line. We won't pay executive salaries and bonuses over $500,000. Not through bailout money. How do you get around that? Well, these same bank holding companies, maybe not all of them, but some of them, took out low interest government loans. Less than 8%. And then they paid back the preferred stock. But the low interest government loans is no longer bailout money, so they can use the low interest government loans to pay all of their executive salaries and bonuses. See how that works? So yeah, the bailouts worked. Wall Street made between $6 and $7 trillion from the Obama administration. That's what actually happened. A few other things. Obama wanted desperately to raise taxes. You can go back and watch the videos. They're live and in living color. Wanted to raise taxes. We're in the middle of what they're now called the Great Recession. And basically every economist told him the working class just can't take higher taxes right now. They'll kill you. And we probably would have. Because, we were getting beat up every day. We're still losing jobs, thanks to the North American Free Trade Agreement that nobody has dealt with. Clinton passed it. Bush didn't fix it. Obama didn't fix it. Matter of fact, they didn't even make an effort to fix it. None of them. Democrats, Republicans. See what I mean? Being sold out by both groups. Now, anyway, we have the Obama administration. Oh yeah, they bailed out Blackstone, which, see, in this whole thing of taking care of the rich people, Blackstone is a corporate landlord, like one of the biggest in the country, because we somehow allowed them to start investing money based on rent money they hadn't got yet, leveraging future income, which is a stupid thing to do. So we had to bail them out. But Obama wanted to raise taxes. All the economists told him no. So what did he actually do? This Obama economy that all the Democrats love to rave about? Google the exact phrase, Obama extends the Bush-era tax cuts. Obama extends the Bush-era tax cuts. That's what he did. Part of what he did. So you see, part of the Obama economy was actually the Bush economy. The media won't tell you that. But it was. But what he did do is raise taxes on the rich. Now, this is another part of the Obama administration that the media won't tell you about, but you can look it up. Because when he raised taxes on the rich, and this is why you will never see anybody on the Democrats, you never see the media ask any of the Democrats pushing for higher taxes any hard questions about it. You're incompetent people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, AOC. And I could go on with the list. You'll never see the media actually ask them hard questions about how this affects the working class as time goes on. Because I'm going to tell you right now. Matter of fact, there's even a little graphic I'm going to try to put up on the screen. Obama got elected right after Bush, right? He was in office 8 years. 2008 to 2016. He actually took office in 2009, so 2009 to 2016. There's a little thing that rich people like to do. They renounce their citizenship in the United States. They're no longer American citizens. Now, if you go back for the decade before Obama, you'll find that there was about, I think the number was like 5,000, 5,400, 5,500 people in those 10 years before Obama that renounced their citizenship. Number one reason people renounce their citizenship is to avoid paying taxes, American taxes. During the 8 years Obama was in office, that number almost tripled. And in the last 3 years that Obama was in office, it was still more than the 15 years before it combined. That number's going up. So, we'll call this a bonus feature. When you start hearing government morons talk about raising taxes on the rich to 70% to pay for all of these government programs, what do you think is going to happen? Bernie Sanders actually went so far as to say he was not only going to tax the rich at like 45, 48%, something like that, one of the highest in the world. He was also going to institute a wealth tax to where he's going to take the richest people, and reduce their wealth. This is not an income tax. This is a tax based on their wealth by 50% in 15 years. Now, if you elect these morons, yeah, I'm being kind of harsh, and put them in power, and they pass all of these social programs, right? It's going to cost the rich trillions of dollars. Trillions. So, couple things. Couple very simple questions that should be asked, but nobody has. If you're in the working class or below, you need to pay attention right now. What happens after you've put in place all of these government programs like Medicare for All, which conservative estimates, and I don't mean Republican, I mean conservative as in the actual definition of the word conservative. Conservative estimates put Medicare, based on our current budget, if we don't raise taxes, would put Medicare for All and Social Security at about 78% of total government spending for 2 programs. That's if we don't raise taxes. And they're talking about education for all, universal base income, or guaranteed federal job, same deal, just 2 different mechanisms. Free childcare, Green New Deals that are costing, small ones are like $20, $30 trillion. AOC's was north of $90 trillion. Once you put in place all of these government programs, these things are big, so they're really hard to undo. If just a handful of these super rich people go, I'm not paying that. I don't need to live here anymore. Now, keep in mind, we're in a global economy. This is a world market, right? You don't even have to be smart to figure that one out. If you're talking about people that are worth billions of dollars, that have interests that are worth trillions of dollars. If you're one of the leaders of another country, what do? Come on, we'll take you. Bring your money. Bring your jobs. Bring your money. We'll take you. You can buy the best house. I mean, you got to understand these people. These people are not rich. These people have wealth, which means they could spend the rest of their lives, their kids, their grandkids could spend the rest of their lives flying anywhere in the world they want to go, eating the most expensive food in the world, living in just the most extravagant lifestyle off the interest that they make, and never actually touch their fortune. Why would they give that up? Just to pay taxes in America? I don't think so. And what happens if just a handful of them leave? All the trillions of dollars that they would have paid, who's left to pay that bill? Be us. This is just getting started. If you are in the working class, you have got to understand some things about our economy now. Politics is the business. If you can control the politics, you can control the voting. If you control the voting to get the people in office you want in office, well, now you control the emphasis on where all of those, how much you collect in taxes, and where that tax money goes, which means you're now have the ability to control markets. Small example, Big Pharma, right? You got Bernie Sanders and a number of the incompetents on the left pushing Medicare for all. But that's not, that's what they name it, but that's not what it is. It's a lie on the very face of it. Not a single one of these people have mandated that Congress, if the American people are going to have to live with Medicare for all, Congress should also be on Medicare for all. You see, it's Medicare for everybody except them. Now, we have an issue. They want to talk about the social programs and how great they are. Look at Sweden, Nordic countries. Look how great they are. Well, there's other socialist countries. Venezuela, Cuba. Not so great. Matter of fact, horrible. And you don't have to be smart to figure this out. You really don't. If the rich people leave, who's stuck paying the bill? Everybody that's left. And the great thing about having money like that is you can afford to leave. And you can still live a grand life. And there are countries that would love for all of them to do that. Bring all of their money, all of their wealth somewhere else. If you're watching this, if you are reasonable, rational, intelligent, and capable of independent thought, in other words, if you don't have your head squarely buried in a political agenda, one logical, reasonable, rational idea of why the rich wouldn't do that. They did it in droves under Obama. And now you're talking about costing them trillions of dollars. No, the socialist programs, they're not going to be like the Nordic countries because they're not modeled after the Nordic countries. They're modeled after Venezuela and Cuba. Two of the worst examples in history of socialism. What's more, when you hear these people, like the Medicare for all thing, it's Medicare for everybody but them. They talk about how great their social programs are, like the police, Social Security. Well, Social Security is the worst investment in American history. People living on Social Security can't afford anything. Why? Because, well, Social Security, which is the subject of another video, managed and ran and implemented by the same incompetent, greedy, and corrupt morons that are wanting us to go into Medicare for all. The reason why Social Security is a mess is because Congress has their own retirement plan. So in other words, it doesn't matter how messed up Social Security gets, they have no incentive to fix it. And like I said, we're the largest special interest group in the country that has no lobbyists. There's nobody in Washington trying to get these people to do what's in our best interest. So Medicare for all, if they're not on it, it doesn't matter how messed up it gets, they have no incentive to fix it. You've got to think about that. It's a horrible idea. What's more, it doesn't take into account the added expense of all of these other social programs. And the issue is they never try to fix them. They just want us to keep paying more money. So all the people who get rich off of this, like I said, you don't think people aren't getting rich off of this? Our Congress actually passed a law that made it illegal for Medicare to negotiate drug prices with Big Pharma. You know, the same Medicare that Bernie Sanders says will step in and control the costs. Medicare is a fixed budget. We get taxed for Medicare. About $900 billion a year. Between $900 billion and $1 trillion. But while Canada and all the other first world countries are paying $50, $60 a month for insulin, Medicare pays $185. 3 times that much. And they do it because our government, Democrats and Republicans, passed a law saying Medicare cannot negotiate the rates of pharmaceuticals with Big Pharma. So you want to know why doctors and all these people hate Medicare? It's because if you've got a fixed budget, let's say $1 trillion, let's say you should have spent $200 million on pharmaceuticals, but you didn't. You spent $600 million on pharmaceuticals. Who does that hurt? Who does that hurt? Well, if you would have only spent what you should have, say $200 billion out of the $1 trillion, that would have given you $800 in reimbursement money for every other part of healthcare. Procedures, doctors, nurses, your radiologists, all those people. All of your medical offices, doctors, you know. You'd had $800 billion to reimburse them, but you didn't. You spent $600 trillion, which leaves reimbursement costs at $400 billion. Sorry, I think I screwed that one up. It should have been billion, not trillion. But you get the point. Medicare's reimbursement for everybody else, your doctors, your surgeons, your radiologists, your nurses, your X-ray guys, your CT guys, your MRI guys, the physical therapy, all of that, cut in half. Medicare is reimbursing everybody else at half of what they should be. And this is the system that our politicians want you to just throw all of your tax money in. Why? Because it'll be cheaper for you. No, it's because you control a government program like that and you control who gets rich off of it. That's what's going on. The Green New Deal will be the same way. People, we've got to fix the problems in this country, and we have a lot of problems to fix. But we can't do it if we don't start electing people that know how to govern for the 90% and not the 10. We've got to elect people who can sit down and intelligently figure out why some of these problems exist. The cost of education. Different video. Maybe my next one. To demonstrate how our governmental incompetence in Republicans and Democrats has actually been the worst thing for us. I think we'll do that. We'll do a Getting Started Part 3. And it'll be short. It'll just look at education and why the cost of education is so high. And why, obviously, our government's not trying to fix it or help us in any way. So we'll do a part 3. So we'll wrap up part 2 here. This is What Do You Believe? I'm still absolutely nobody special from the Heart of Working Class USA. Not sponsored, not monetized. The best thing you can do is, if this video is interesting to you, is share it. As much as you want, everywhere. Leave my name out of it. This will stand or fall based on the merits of what I say alone. And I'm okay with that. If you like what you see here, if it's at least intriguing or thought-provoking, hit the subscribe button. That puts me in the subscriptions list. Hit the bell icon. That's what will notify you when I post a new video. I'm absolutely nobody special. And this is What Do You Believe? and we are just getting started.